recorder thing, but it just says there's a bit of a problem with it. But well, it seems to be working now. That's good, because you asked me to record it. Hi, everybody. Good.
Hi. Hi. So I briefly told the students what we were doing this morning, but I did just start by asking their permission to videotape and for you to upload to YouTube.
Okay.
And we have a consensus. Can I just check? A couple of people came in late. Anybody that came in after I got that permission, are you okay with that? Jack's going to record this and then upload it to his YouTube site.
Cool.
Yeah? Okay. Perfect. Okay, so good morning, and this is the magical group I've been telling you about, the grade 12 philosophy students, and these are the amazing people I've been telling you about, Jack and Jackie. So, where shall we start?
Well, we thought that we might be able to hear about the great work that you guys are doing. So, we've seen the videos, right, Jack?
Yep.
And they are great, really. You guys, you actually should put a proposal into the American Education Research Association. They would just love this stuff.
And that conference is in San Francisco next year, isn't that right, Jack?
It is. It's a tough life.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. We should start a show.
We can talk about that more later. So does anybody in my group here want to start and explain what you've been doing to Jack or Jackie?
Oh, jeez. Take it away. Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So just say who you are and wave your arm or stand up so they can see you.
Hi.
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 Lily. And I had an idea for another video that I might make. I made the What Makes You Proud video with Sarah and Brooke, who's not here.
Yeah.
But I think if I were to make another video, I'd do it on like the flow theory. So I'd like talk to people about what they find like challenging, but they really enjoy. And I could have like videos of it and just talk to people about why maybe they think that gives them the like flow. So
Yeah, sounds good.
So you're probing a little deeper in terms of finding out the reason why.
yes,
That's a great idea.
thanks. Okay.
Can I ask quickly, what technology do you use? Do you have iPads or do you use Macs? What do you...
I downloaded a thing called VideoPad.
Okay.
Because I don't have a Mac, so I can't use like iMovie. But I don't know, it's kind of temperamental.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else?
And for the validation video, we just did iMovie. It was nice and easy. So.
And this is Ben, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, we've seen you on the video, Ben, so we kind of feel like we know you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was Ben Zeke and Carter, wasn't it, with the
Yes.
validation. And if I could just say that I was very struck by the difference. I don't know if you've all seen this video, but there's a tremendous difference, I think, between the first part and then the second part, where Ben, Zeke, and Carter are reflecting on seeing themselves in the first part. And I got a real sense of the authenticity. For example, I think it was Zeke with the song, and I think that will capture quite a lot of really important, authentic experiences, and that's what was coming through with the motivation and the feeling of comfort. So I do think that validation video could be extended, especially with validation really focusing on your claims to know something. So you could really highlight, I think, how you're developing your knowledge claims in terms of the relationships and the learning that's going on. But that was very exciting to watch that.
What was interesting, too, was Carter's body language in that video. Because he talked about, it's very important. The body language is very important. That's what the video can show you that you don't get otherwise. And when he talked about opening up, he kind of came forward, toward the camera. And then we talked about when he was kind of disassociating himself, he did this. It was actually a beautiful example of embodied knowledge because he was showing it physically. what he had learned in this process.
Can I also just say very quickly about a notion Jackie and myself work with, and also with Liz, which is this idea of empathetic resonance. And there's a difference between a kind of embarrassed humour, which I think we all experience, and then getting to an authentic expression, as I think Carter did about his relationships and how important those were, but how easy it is to mask really authentic responses through a particular expression of humour. And you want to just watch for that, because it can sometimes get in the way of you speaking authentically about what really matters. And yet humour is also very important. Yeah, is there anything else that anybody wants to contribute or ask Jackie and myself?
I see your hand.
I had a question about what you do.
Can't quite see you.
I can just see the top of your head.
Yeah, it's that to me all the time, and we're talking.
Is it Carter?
Oh, it's Zeke.
It's Zeke.
I had a question about how you go about, like, if you have a theory about philosophy or philosophy of your own, how would you go about kind of developing it further? Like, I know Mrs. Campbell showed me like different articles that would argue against it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you would argue.
Okay, if I just respond and then Jackie can respond, but it's just that I would ask Mrs. Campbell to show you her master's dissertation, because it really is very powerful as an answer to that question. And Mrs. Campbell has been very courageous in putting forward, for example, love and joy as values, ontological values. Those are the values that we try and live by. And she's been very courageous in actually holding those up and being accountable to those values, in showing how she's trying to live her philosophy of education with her students. So I think Mrs. Campbell's got a superb dissertation already on the web, which I think might just help you to answer that question. It's a very powerful piece of writing.
All right.
I want to make sure that I've listened to your question. And is your question in terms of me? What am I doing to improve my practice and living my values? Is that your question?
Yeah, kind of a little bit like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. My work too is on the web, and there's certainly some evidence of the work I've done as well as the work of my students, where they are asking the same questions for their master's and PhD degrees, and that is, how can I improve my practice? How can I be a better person? How can I live my values more fully? And that kind of demands an honesty of each one of us. So it doesn't matter where you are in your education or where you are in your life. That's a question that I ask all the time. How am I getting better at being a good person, in living according to my values, in helping my students be all that they can be and improve how they live their lives, and ultimately, what am I doing to improve the world in which I live? And as I explained to the students, and my part, I can't solve a problem like I'd like to take all children who live in poverty out of it. That would be a wonderful thing for me to be able to accomplish. But obviously, I can't do that. I don't have the capacity. So how can I improve the lives of children in my environment? And so I work at, I've developed parenting centers, free parenting centers, where parents and guardians can go and get free help and advice and support in raising their children. And if that happens, then more children will live happy and productive lives. How can I get better at teaching the students? And how I do that is I always ask them to give me feedback. So it's the same thing that you were talking about in your response video. You know, you're looking for what's the evidence.
Just another question about that. The only problem is, like, what if you don't feel like you fully developed your philosophy and your theory and stuff like that? should you practice it, or should you wait for the argument, or should you kind of discuss? You should probably discuss it with others, I'm guessing, because I kind of know that, but like, should you wait, or should you should you do kind of a trial and error thing? What do you think is the best idea?
Mark, do you want to take that first?
No, you take that one, and then I'll come back on something that I'm just noticing. Yeah.
And I don't think anyone is ever fully developed. It doesn't matter how old you are. I know some very elderly people who don't seem to have grown much from the time they were youngsters. So everybody is on a path, and on that path, hopefully you're trying to be a better person. And so it's a point in your life where you say, okay, this is what I know about myself, and I heard you talking about it in the video. Then how can I be a better person in this or that aspect of my life? So instead of trying to take on the whole thing, so how can I do a better job of my relationships? How can I live more fully according to this particular value? And once you start on this path, it's just part of the way you live.
Yeah. Are you okay with this? Because what I'm noticing at the moment is a difference between the individual responses that you all gave on one of the videos, for example, about, what am I proud of? The issues about the heart. Now, as I'm looking at you, I can just see a group of faces that are just looking at, for example, Jackie and myself. And you've lost the energy and the pleasure and the delight that I saw coming through the video. Now, Jackie and myself refer to that energy, and Liz does as well, I think, as life-affirming energy. Now, you've got a lot of that which is expressed through the video. So when you're looking, Zeke, at, for example, your reflections, and Ben and Carter, and I hope everybody will look at that validation video, I think you could all try to bring in some of the energy that you feel and express together, which is, in my language, life-affirming. You've honestly got tremendous, not just energy, but there's a welcoming in relationship to the other, which, as you're listening to somebody like myself, tends to go when you look at this video. Okay, so I do hope you'll look at this. I'll send Mrs. Campbell the URL so you can actually look at it. But then look at yourselves in terms of the points about the heart and also about what you're proud of. And look at what Jackie and myself call your embodied expression of energy, because I think in terms of living your philosophy as fully as you can, you will need to recognize the importance of that energy with your values. Am I making sense there, Jackie, do you think, in terms of what we've worked on?
Well, it's not just Ben and Carter and Zeke's video. I think all of them. I mean, when I was looking at them, people were saying some things that were just absolutely smashing. Like, when tomorrow is not promised. That is it's such a deep, thoughtful idea. What if you all went back and looked at all the videos and what you said and reflected on what you said, and what does it tell you about your values? And what would you say if you were asked again? Or how would you respond to what you did say, or elaborate on what you said? You've all contributed to these. Let's go back and see the depth that could be drawn out of them.
Is there anything else, that anybody wants to ask or talk about? Or?
They actually have done some of that.
Great.
Good.
In fact, I don't know, we watched a couple of the videos as a group.
Yeah.
And reflected on how we felt when we watched the video. And so maybe I could just ask if there's somebody that would like to share anything that you experienced rewatching those videos, and they also did reflections on them afterwards. Right. And there was some profound moments of revelation from different students. So I just wonder if anybody would like to share anything. We're okay with silence for a moment, too. Go ahead. This is Shannon.
Shannon. Hi, Shannon.
When we watched the, I think we watched, when we watched the Notes from the Heart,
Yeah.
and we watched it several times as a group. And I think I can say pretty certainly every single person in the room the first time was uncomfortable watching themselves on video. I think, I don't want to say everyone, but I was having a difficult one. No. But then as the videos, we watched them over and over again, some people stayed uncomfortable, and then there were people who were increasingly uncomfortable, and then there were people who got comfortable with seeing themselves on video. And it was just interesting to see.
Yeah. That's good. Any others?
My name
Hi.
is Zach,
Hi.
and I just noticed like the emotion, like that same video where we had the song lyrics or whatever, the way people said them, you could kind of get like emotion off of it, and you could really tell that they're feeling these lyrics. I found that pretty interesting.
It's something you could all contribute to, because we're not very good in the research communities about showing what we're meaning by emotion. You know, and because it is embodied, it's in the expression, as you've seen on the video, and that's why I think we do need some visual representation, like on the video, to communicate our meaning. So I think that's a very important issue to take up, Zach, that issue of emotion. And I think everybody will have seen themselves, whether you're feeling discomfort and you're feeling uncomfortable about watching yourselves. But I do hope you'll try to get over that and produce what we call visual narratives. And those are the kind of stories with the videos that help us to understand, you know, the values that you're holding, the life you're living, the learning that's going on. I think you could make a fundamental contribution, as Jackie was saying, to understanding these kinds of inquiries.
The other thing is that we don't get the student voice very often in the research community. So what Mrs. Campbell is working on with you is to get those voices heard. And, you know, if your voice isn't heard, others speak for you. And that's problematic. You know, I think that the more we can get you to share your knowledge, the stronger the research community will become, and I think the potential for improving the world will be enhanced. So what you're doing is very valuable, and I hope you know that. Do you know that?
Yes! Yeah!
Okay. We don't have this. We don't have this other than what you're doing. It's very original.
And, you know, Jackie's right. And if you look at this video, you'll see yourselves literally what we call serried ranks. Okay? So you're all looking at the camera and you're in ranks, you're in rows. Whereas when I think you're talking together, as, you know, Zach and it was Carter, wasn't it? And Ben, that's right. You were together in a kind of cooperative. You were all talking together very, very easily. And that's what I think will happen to you as a group. And you could offer us something which you're all working on together in a most collaborative way, where you're all cooperating to help each other to strengthen your narratives. Go on.
Okay, we lost that last piece, Jack. Can you just say your last line again?
Yeah, that if you will actually show yourselves working cooperatively, just as it shows in the validation group where there's a conversation going on, I think you'll be able to demonstrate. Are you okay?
Your voice is going in and out.
Oh, sorry, that's a shame. I hope it isn't on the YouTube clip. Yeah, that's a pity, because I think this is really important, I think, to show yourselves working together as groups cooperatively, because you will feed each other's energy and will see yourselves helping each other to produce your stories. That's all I really wanted to say. Yeah.
And I think
Did you all pick up what that said?
Yeah.
Oh, great,
Okay.
great.
they've actually experienced that as recently as yesterday.
Yeah.
I think I can say, would you agree with me when we were having the discussion about vulnerability?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
could I ask, Liz, was that videotaped?
No.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No, it was. That's right. Sorry. Yeah.
If
Yes,
it was,
it was.
because I think, Liz, that would be fantastic to have available for us to show you exploring vulnerability together as a group. Okay,
Yeah. So we'll explore that option.
very good.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carter.
I'm Carter. I sort of noticed yesterday, like you're talking about having like a group like discussions, right? But sometimes like when you have a group, you get like people, some people like lead the discussions, and like you're only getting ideas from like a few, like 5 or 6 people, and like a group of like 20 people. Everyone else is sort of like withdrawn and stuff. Like, is that ever like a problem when you have like group discussions?
Yeah. And, Jackie, you get over that, don't you, by breaking them down into smaller groups. So I think, would you like to say just a little bit about that, so you don't actually have silence, by large numbers?
What you said, Carter, has been broken up a little bit for me. Is your question, how do you involve others in a large group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think the more you can break it down to smaller groups, the better. People tend to talk more in a little group than they do in a large group. Some will sit, and I'm sure we've all done it, and say, well, I have this idea, but I'm sure somebody else will say it. And then the whole discussion goes by and they don't, and you say, oh, I wish I had. So if you get in smaller groups, it tends to allow more people to talk, and some people are not talkers. And it's not a problem that I've ever had, but you need to, even in a small group, ask everybody to say something. And if you only listen to the loud voices, you miss a lot of really important information. So you can get and it's about building relationships. People will not talk if they don't trust you, or they don't trust where this knowledge is going or conversation is going. So, it's important to spend a lot of time on just getting people comfortable, feeling safe. I mean, I know you know this from working with Mrs. Campbell. It takes time to build that culture of comfort and safety and inquiry.
But what I've also seen Jackie do is, if I look at you all now, and on your right, if I look at about 6 people on the far right of your room, I don't know what your questions are. And what I've seen Jackie do is go around a group like this and just ask somebody just to say a little bit about, for example, their research question, what they're interested in researching. And I don't know if we could just do that just for a minute now, but it would be very helpful for me if, the people that are literally at the back that I can see but I haven't heard from. Yes, that's right, you're all turning around now. The right of the room. If you would just say just a little bit, have you got your questions worked out?
More or less.
Would some of you just like to say a little bit? Just form a question. Just say what question that you might like to work on.
I'm Shelby. Hi.
Hi.
Well, Miss Campbell talked a lot to us about like a eureka moment where you make like a realization.
Yeah.
Does everybody have that, or like how do you come about a eureka moment?
Okay.
Keep watching videos.
Yeah, and what about the person behind you? It's that I think it's trying to involve and for us to hear all your voices.
Oh, I'm Sarah. Hi.
Hi.
I worked on the video with Bailey and Brooke. I'm working on a timeline of the history of philosophy
Okay.
right now. And I don't know, I'm kind of like stumped because I'm trying to make a big visual. I don't really know how to go about that and make it look really good and stuff.
Okay, so it might be that some of us can actually contribute to that, where you're stumped with the visual.
Yeah.
And that would be lovely to see that conversation. Could I just have 1 or 2 more? Say the person next to you, Sarah.
I'm Sarah too.
Yeah.
When
one thing that I've been working on is just like really trying to figure out who I am and how I can become more trusting of myself and stuff. And I've been like presenting things I'm passionate about to other groups and stuff.
Excellent.
Really? That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And Sarah was, may I share your initial response, Sarah, and how you evolved into someone who, yeah, okay. So Sarah was quite reluctant to get involved with the student-directed research initially. She was really uncomfortable with that, and she actually wrote that she hated it.
Yeah.
And now I'll ask her to share kind of what she thinks now.
I like love it now. I like the freedom, and I found out that if I enjoy what I'm doing, then I'm more likely to do well at it.
And again, that links in with the validation video about motivation.
It does. It's perfect.
Yeah, it really is. Finding what motivates you. That's really excellent, Sarah. What about the person behind you?
Hi, my name's Brian.
Hi.
My action research, I'm doing weekly proprioceptive writes to enhance like my writing and help me find out more about myself. And those writes and put them on a personal blog to help me answer those questions. And then go on sort of like research and exploring topics of vulnerability and kind of like confession talks, like with Emily. And so what we did is we had students from our class and different classes put in like any sort of secret. It could be like funny or deep or anything like that into the box. And then we got into a big group and we handed out one secret to everybody, and they sort of just responded to it personally as a class, and it was a really engaging discussion.
Yeah, that's really clear, isn't it, Jackie? I think that's really superb, yeah. And my last one will be the person next to you, yeah?
I'm Megan.
Hi.
And I'm pretty much the same thing as her, like proprioceptive writing, and I'm putting it on a blog. And I'm trying to discover more about my values and what's important to me, why it's important, and that kind of thing.
No, that's really good, because I know Jackie and myself are still doing that, aren't we, Jackie? You know, I mean, it's still evolving, that question about values, so fundamental.
In fact, when I was superintendent, and people would come to me and say, well, how can I get a position of responsibility? And I would always say to them, do you know your values? And people would really, remember the beginning of that video, what are you proud of? People would do that, you know. Because it's a really hard question. And I would say, why don't we talk again when you get a chance to think about this? And then when people start to think about what their values are, then the next question is, so what evidence is there that you live according to those values? And that's another time that takes, because you do the same thing. And eventually you arrive at the point where they ask me, why is this important? And I say, because your values are your filters for decision making. If you're a principal and someone is going to challenge you for why you made a decision, you need to be able to articulate that very clearly. For your own sake, for their sake, and for the sake of the children. So that's why this is an important project for everybody at whatever stage of life.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Mrs. Campbell can, because we've been going nearly 30 minutes, and it just feels to me that if I was to put this video now onto YouTube, I could have it back to you with the URL in about an hour. It seems to me that if you would then think about, over the next few weeks, developing, as you will be with Mrs. Campbell, your stories of your learning with your values, and then we could actually look at those and share again and respond to them, and just see how this is growing as a sharing of your narratives of learning. I think that would be, for me, very exciting. Does that fit, Liz, with what you're hoping to do?
Yes, that's exactly where we're headed, Jack.
Oh, great, great. So, go on.
I wonder if there's about 8 people away today for various reasons, but I wonder if the next time we do this, if we shouldn't try. We were trying to set it up so that everybody could be seen and heard.
Yeah.
normally we sit in a big circle in this room. So I'm wondering if we could do that and then maybe just, move the camera around.
I understand. That's why I've seen Jackie do that in the masters groups, and it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That would be better because it's hard to see the people at the back, and that facial expressions are so important.
Yeah. Yeah. You're missing the magic.
Yes, but it is. Many thanks indeed for just allowing me into this, and I know Jackie is pleased as well, aren't we? Just to be invited to converse with you. It's great.
Another suggestion that I might make is that maybe you could do a quick video and have each person articulate what their question is and where they want to go next, and maybe that would take the pressure off this sort of extemporaneous questioning.
Yeah.
Sure.
I have a quick question for
Go on, Ben.
Just a very quick question. Would you rather put your hand in a bucket of fire ants or a bucket of unknown content?
Well, I think the bucket of unknown content rather than fire. My grandson, 2 years, has just put his hand on the gas hob, and I've seen the mess of his fingers, so I think I would avoid the fire.
Well, I mean fire ants.
Oh, fire ants?
Yeah.
I thought you meant fire. God.
It's the same answer.
Same answer? Okay.
And by the way, a hob is a stove.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. In England, in the UK, it's a gas stove.
Ouch. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else want to ask a question before we sign off? You don't want to be one of those people that says, "Oh, darn it." Becky's in the back. We haven't heard from Becky.
Hooray!
Okay, so I started out my research on happiness, which led me into vulnerability. I videotaped our vulnerability session yesterday, so I can get that up for you guys. As I said, I've been working on vulnerability, particularly on Brene Brown's Power of Vulnerability clip. And so far, I think me and Sabrina have defined vulnerability as being exposed and open to failure and pain, but also to be without pretenses of control and perfection.
Yeah.
It's really or trust without judgment is very key. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts were.
So a lot of people have spent a lot of time thinking about vulnerability. It's a great topic, and it certainly helps us, I think, get positive feedback from others when we're prepared to be vulnerable. But it's a very hard thing to do. And once you experience it, then your world opens up because others will help you to be kind of the person you want to be and live the values you want to live. But it's a scary place sometimes.
Yeah, and also there is something that I know that I was taught when I was about 17, 18, 19. And it actually got in the way of me understanding something, and I was always taught to try to define something in language. So you were very clear then when you talked about vulnerability in words. But if you were to show yourself on video with another person talking about things that really matter, I think you would be able to show your meanings in what we call an embodied way. You would express the meanings in practice, and you would show yourself what it means to be open and to share some difficult experiences with others. And it's a different meaning than the definition that you'd give just in words alone. When you're thinking about being open and vulnerable, all I'm saying is I think some visual record of you talking openly about things that have sometimes hurt you or things that you're actually feeling are quite difficult for you, like with the uncomfortable feeling about the video. I think you get closer to an understanding of vulnerability than just with the defining it in words alone. Am I being clear there? Because it's something I've learnt over years that this is rather important.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could sort of do what Brene Brown did, right? Sort of talk about how you're working through this process and what you're learning in the process and what's caused you to think about this.
I've had a few separate discussions. None of them were ever videotaped, but Instagram was taking notes while we were discussing.
Right.
We did actually have an incredible breakthrough, and I'm going to share it, which is just freaked me out completely.
Yeah.
But I realized for myself as a vulnerability that I don't think and my thing was that I had been lying to myself so long that I don't realize it's true anymore. And that was kind of the breakthrough you're talking about.
Now, if we could just get that on video.
Yeah,
That
I
would be
hope so, yes. I'll put it up now and we'll see if we've got it. I do hope we've got that audio. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very courageous of you.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah. Really good. Okay, many thanks. Shall I close this down now and put it onto YouTube?
That'd be great.
Okay then. I'll do that and I'll send it through to Mrs. Campbell.
Question.
No, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the class. I'm Luke, by the way.
Hi, Luke.
I don't.
And it was really nice to meet both of you. You both seem like really awesome people to have like a nice chat with.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks. That's
And
great.
we really appreciate your insight on a lot of our the things that we've been struggling with and powering through. And it would be really nice if we could do this again sometime.
Oh, most
Absolutely.
willing. Yeah, definitely. Most willing. Yeah.
And it was like, just thank you so much for doing this with us.
Okay, pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.